Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to this week's class. Our lesson today is population study. This lesson is the same that we have been discussing last week, so it is in continuation. You can reach to your lesson on book page number 150 to 153. This is unit number 4, lesson number 1, and this is my second lecture of the same lesson. So last week we have been discussing about how the world population grew over a period of 2000 years, and then we discussed about the growth of world population in the last 50 or 60 years. Then we discussed about how the population growth has contributed in creating the pressure against the world resources. So today we are going to discuss that where do all the people live on the earth. So which means that how the population is distributed on the earth. So let's move on to our first slide of the lesson. Objectives. Objective of the lesson is that you must be able to read, interpret, understand, comprehend the diagrams, the graphs, the maps that are related to population studies. You must be able to uh, understand how the people are, why some places are more densely populated than the others, and you must understand, or you must be able to read the population pyramids and compare these pyramids to different countries, the population of the different countries. So let's move on to our first question. Our first question today is that where do all the world's people live? In other words, so we can say that the question is to discuss about how the world population is distributed. Where do all the people live? In some areas, why more people live, and in some areas, why few people live. So let's move on to the map. This is the map in front of you. You can see that the map has different colors. It has a key in the left bottom side. The key is telling you that how many people live in one area. Different colors represent different numbers. Yellow color represent nobody lives there. 1 to 10 people in an area is represented by a darker yellow color. Then around 50 people in a pinkish color. Then we have light red color, which is around 100 people. Then 100 to 200 people are more red. Then we have the darkest red, or you can say almost maroon color, which means that over 200 people live in 1 square kilometer of the area. The map is in front of you. You can see the China, India, Europe, and parts of America, some parts of South America, small portions, and some parts of Africa. For example, Egypt. For example, Western Africa, like Nigeria, North Africa, like Morocco and Algeria, the coastal areas. Then in the east there is Indonesia, then Japan, then South Korea. These countries are shown as dark red colors, particularly India, China, Bangladesh particularly. These are the countries where the population is highly concentrated. So many people live in one area because these countries are highly populated. In terms of continents, you can see that which continent is least populated. It is Australia. And which continent is highly populated? It is not Asia, although Asia is the most populated continent, but it is not the most densely populated. It is Europe which is most densely populated, because Asia no doubt is the continent with highest number of people living in it, but when we see the size of Asia, it is not as much densely populated, because the size of Asia is big and the number of people living in Asia are less dense as compared to the number of people living in Europe. So Europe is not the biggest, but it is the most densely populated continent. So this is the slide all about where do all the people live. Our next slide is to discuss about different factors that actually decide about the population concentration in an area. There are different factors involved. For example, if the climate of an area is good, the people will prefer to live there, and the area will be much more populated than an area where the climate is not suitable. For example, if the climate is extreme cold or very hot, extreme hot, people will not prefer to live that area. Whereas an area that has a mild climate, people will prefer to migrate to that area. So this area will have more people living here. Similarly, fertile land, fertile soil that is capable of producing better foods or more foods, like river valleys, coastal plains. If the land is plain, the areas are good for construction of houses. So these are some factors. For example, if the area is in an accessible condition where you can travel to other areas, where you can travel from other areas easily, so if it is better accessible to trade, then people will prefer to live here. Similarly, if the area has better natural resources, particularly water, that area will have good concentration of human population. In contrast to this one, we will have the factors that discourage the high concentration of the people are, for example, dense forestation. Too much plantation will not allow the people to build the houses, so human settlements will be very few, or even if there are, they will be very small. If the terrain, or if the area is mountainous, rocky, and the soil is poor, then even then human population will be less dense, or you can say very few people will be living there. If the area is very remote and they are not near the trade routes, or that you can say that are not near the other communities, the population will be very few there. So these areas will be less dense as compared to the other areas. Similarly, economic opportunities play a very important role in an area to define its population structure. If a city has good earning opportunities or good job opportunities, many of the people will migrate to that area. The example of Riyadh is in front of you. After the discovery of oil, this city increased its size quite fast, and now it is one of the biggest city in the Middle East. Another example is the Middle East city of Dubai. Within last 30 to 40 years, Dubai has become one of the mega city of the world, just because there are so many work opportunities, and people, they migrated from other areas around the world to come there, settle there, and earn livelihood. So these are some of the reasons people are more concentrated in one area, and people are less concentrated in other area. Let's move to another point, which is population structures. So population structure can be studied by the help of pyramids. Actually, pyramid is a kind of graph that tells you that how many people of a country are in that specific age level or age group. So if the country has a more population of small children, and the age level, actually the more it goes up, the number of people of that age group are decreasing in numbers, the population structure of the country will be like a pyramid. Here is the detail. Let's read it word by word. A population pyramid is a type of a back-to-back bar graph. It tells us the number of people living in the country in the manner of bars, and that shows the age and the gender. Gender mean how many male, how many female. It shows us the age, how many kids, how many adults, how many older people are living in the country. The data for males is shown on the left side, and the data for the female is shown on the right side of the pyramid bar. And the ages are normally grouped in 5 years, and the lowest age level is in the bottom, and the highest age level is in the top. And the more you go up in the age level, you are moving up in the vertical scale. The horizontal scale shows the number of people in the country, whether they are male or whether they are female. If the bar graphs are bigger, if the bars of the pyramid are bigger, it means that this age level has more number of people compared to a smaller bar. You will see the picture of a pyramid on the next slide. So on the next slide, you will see basically that bar pyramid is about the Kenya's population, which was measured in 2011. So let's move on to the bar graph. So this is the population structure of Kenya in 2011. First of all, you must know that why it is appearing like a pyramid, because the more number of people in Kenya's population are of lower age group. For example, the left side of the bar graph or pyramid is in the blue color and the right side is in the red color, which is male and female. The more you go up on the pyramid, the age level changes from 0 to 4, 5 to 9 and up to 80 plus. Every bar represents a specific age level, and the horizontal growth of the bars actually represents the percentage. From the middle mean 0, and the more the bar graphs are increasing in direction on the sides, it means that the number of percentage is increasing. So the pyramid is appearing, the structure is appearing like a pyramid, means that more number of people of the lower age group are the citizens of the country. Kenya's population in 2011 was around 43 million people, and you can see that majority of the people in this population, for example, girls are around 15% and boys are more than 15%, and that are 0 to 4 years of age level. Similarly, let's go on up. You can see that 80 years of age, very few people are of this age level, because many people before they reach to this age level, they die due to poor health conditions, or you can say poor food conditions available in the country. Different factors are involved because the country is overall poor. So that's why people have people die very young during their lifetime, and very few people reach to the higher age level. So this shows the country's economic condition as well. And people live very small life and they die early in their life. You can see the more you go up from the base of the pyramid, it is getting smaller and smaller, and very few people are in the age level of 75 to 79, or you can say beyond 60, very few people. But if you compare this pyramid with the population structure of Germany, you will see a huge difference. So let's move on to the next slide and let's see what's there. In this slide, it is all about what we have been discussing in the previous slide about the pyramid, that what the pyramid is giving us the information, what it represents. So typically the poor countries like many other in the country like Ghana, Vietnam, Mexico, India, Pakistan, the pyramids of these countries, the population structures of these countries are same like Kenya. Whereas the population structure of rich countries like America, like Germany, like Britain and Russia, Japan and China, Australia, the population structures are not like a pyramid. They are different. You will see in the next slide that how they appear differently, because there are certain reasons which we are going to discuss after looking or after going through the pyramid of the German population. Let's go on to the next slide. This is the population structure of the Germany. For example, you can see very few people are in the base level and very few people are in the top level. But compared to Kenya, the number of people in the higher age level are more, and the most number of people in German population are the middle age people from 40 to 50. The reason is that the German population birth rate is now decreasing. Our population is not growing very fast, so number of people of the young age group are very few. And because people live very good life, very healthy life, and they survive long, they reach many of the people, they reach higher age level like 80 or 80 plus. So that's why you can see many of the people in German population are above 60 or above 70 or 80 age level, and particularly the female in 80 plus group are so many. The reason is that they eat better, they live a healthy life, they live a peaceful life. That's why they live longer. and the population is not growing fast. That's why the population structure is not like a pyramid. So this is the difference between the population structure of a rich country and the population structure of a poor country. And this is the next slide, which tells you the story. The reason of the difference of the two pyramids is that people in Germany are healthy, they eat better, they live better, they have better health facilities, the hospitals are better, if they have any diseases, they are treated in a better way, so they have better chance of living a better life and healthy and long life. Whereas the people in poor countries like Kenya and like many other, the people there die early because the facilities to treat the diseases are not in a good condition. People have no money to borrow or to purchase the luxuries. They live in a very poor health condition, and they eat very low quality food. That's why they don't survive a long life. So that is the end of the lesson. I hope you will be able to understand that how population is distributed around the world, what are the population structures, and different graphs tells you different stories. Thank you very much. Inshallah, next week we will come up with a new lesson.